Welcome back you guys, I'm EFC, this is Blue Lions CV, and in today's News Daily video, I'll be speaking about the latest surrounding our hunt for a new striker, and I'll be speaking about targets like Piatek, Luka Jovic, and Cavani as well. To move on from that though you guys, I'll be speaking about the latest in regards to Ruben and his injury update, and to end things, I'm going to be speaking about Pedro and interest from Japan. But you guys, I need to get the plugs out the way first. If you like today's video, then remember to smash that like button. Help me get over 1,500 likes for today's video. If you've been planning on buying any kits for yourself, any shirts, any training gear, now could be the perfect time because this sale is going to end at the end of the month, 40% off. You've got a discount code in Nini10 for 10% off extra. If you're planning to get anything or you know someone that is, well, let them know and obviously hook them up. And you guys, on that point, we get straight in with things, starting with the first story for today, and that's in regards to what the hell is actually happening when it comes to us signing a striker. Now, to make things simpler, I'm going to break this first part down into 3 parts. So to start off with, I'm going to talk about Cavani and what's happening with the player. Now, this has been reported by Matt Law, but it's stating that we are still interested in Cavani. However, we admit that Atletico Madrid do have the advantage when it comes to signing the player. However though, can Atletico Madrid afford to sign him? This is where things do get a little bit interesting. Now, as I've said before and as it's been reported everywhere as well, Atletico Madrid need to free up space on their wage bill before they can sign Cavani. With financial fair play, clubs need to show that they can balance the books when they're signing players like this for massive wages, and Atletico Madrid still haven't sold any players yet to free up that space on the wage bill. Time is starting to run out, but at this point in time, it's looking like we are currently second favourites to sign Cavani if his move to Atleti does break down. Now, Lamps has already publicly spoken about Cavani. He's spoken about how much he values him as a player and what he thinks Cavani could bring to the team if he was to sign for us. And Lampard did say too that nothing is happening with Moussa Dembele from Lyon. So at this point in time, Cavani is the #1 target. I guess we have to cross our fingers and hope that Atletico Madrid aren't able to finance this move. But of course, if that was the case, new questions do arise. Would Cavani be worth that type of money? What type of deal could we strike to allow us to get the best possible finances to get a deal like this sorted? If Atleti were out the running, could Paris Saint-Germain potentially be open to any loan moves? I probably don't think so, but who knows. But of course, you guys, we can't just put all our eggs in one basket and hope that Atleti slip up so we could sign Cavani. So naturally, this does mean that we need to entertain different striker options, and another option that we are looking at is Piatek from AC Milan. Now, this story has been broken to you guys by Matt Law and Sciarra as well. Last night, Sciarra did state that Piatek's agent offered his client services to our club. They're currently negotiating with Tottenham at this point in time. However, there's some stumbles in the deal. AC Milan want 30 million up front, and naturally Tottenham don't want to spend that type of money. Ideally, Tottenham would prefer to sign the player on loan with an option to buy at the end of the season. However, reports are coming out from Italy suggesting that Milan could be more open to potentially doing a player swap plus money deal to sign Piatek. So if that was the case and we were looking to sign Piatek, does this mean that we could swap a player to really reduce the price of this deal? Who knows? If you're asking me though, it is pretty funny because we've been in this situation time and time again with Spurs. Spurs do all the dirty work, they do all the leg work, the negotiations, talking to players, getting all the figures ready. The minute they do that, magically all that stuff gets leaked out. We sweep in and we just clean up the whole shop, you guys. There's levels to this stuff. There's only one big club in London, we all know that. But would Piatek really be that guy? I'm not too sure. Now, you know what? I understand that it can be quite difficult for strikers in Serie A due to the tactical nature of the league, the lack of space, etc, etc. And maybe if he was to come to us and play in the Premier League where it's more aggressive, faster pace, and essentially more space to play in as well, could Piatek be transformed in that sense? Because if you look at him, you look at his physiology, you look at his aerial ability, his movement in behind, he's okay. But the issue is, has his form at Milan been so poor for so long that his level's gone down? Maybe, who knows? And maybe if Piatek was going to be the answer, then the question has to be, we need to get a loan for him. And I hope I said that right. I probably didn't. But on that point, you guys, I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to move on to the final target. And that guy is Luka Jovic. Now, at this point in time, there is no current concrete interest from the club in regards to the player. But as Matt Law said himself, with the January window, things normally happen near the end. The club are very aware that Luka is available on the transfer list, and if other targets in front of him aren't available, then from my perspective, it seems like Matt Law was hinting at a potential offer for Jovic if we could sign no one else. Now you might be thinking in your head, Nini, if Jovic is available for loan, why the hell are we wasting our time with Cavani, Dembele, Werner, all these guys that we had no chance in hell of signing, and not focus on Jovic? For God's sake, he's available on loan. Now, the reason for that, you guys, it comes down to tactics again. Now, I know tactics like a cop-out answer, but it explains a lot, and it explains why Jovic hasn't really done anything at Real Madrid. And it makes sense. Jovic is not a striker that's going to hold the ball up, bring people into play. He's not that type of guy. His game is based on those late runs inside the box. He looks better playing alongside a partner. His game's about playing more withdrawn and arriving inside the box late. He did that to devastating effects because he has such amazing clinical finishing with both feet. Now, could Jovic potentially develop to become like a Benzema in the future? Of course. I mean, when Benzema first started making his name, he was nowhere near the same style of player as he currently is now. But with us, with how we play, would Jovic suit us playing as our leading striker? I'm not too sure because, again, his game isn't based on leading the line. Now, if we were to look for Jovic, that could possibly tell me that Lampard might find some creative solutions to find a formation to really get him in the team. But for me, I honestly think that if Jovic was really a strong option, then he'd have to be competition with Mason Mount. Now, I've always seen Jovic as more of like a shadow striker, and in that sense with how we play, with the emphasis on late arrivals inside the box, Jovic would be amazing because he does have exceptional clinical finishing. He could really complement Tammy, and he could free up even more space as teams would have to really pay attention to where Jovic is. Who knows? That is the only way I could possibly see this deal happening, and if it did happen like that, in those circumstances, I think Jovic should work. Now, again, it's going to be interesting. I personally feel like we need to be patient because in the January window, anything can happen. It all comes down to circumstances and context within the market and what happens during the time. But on a positive, you guys, as normally deals wrap up quicker near the end of the window because both parties are willing to normally just get this deal wrapped up. So don't worry if things go to like the final few days. It is what it is. And if we don't sign anyone, well, it gets like that. And on that point, you guys, move on to the second story for today. And that's in regards to the latest surrounding Ruben and an update on his injury. Now, before I get into the second story, you guys, do not forget to download the OneFootball app. It is the best football companion app to have on the market. Quick access to all the news, fixture news, all that type of stuff, stats. The app is perfect for that. It's a quick way to get the information when you want, whenever you want. So if you guys want to get this for yourselves, you'll find a link below in the description below. Now we get into things, and as you guys can see on screen, this article has been brought to you guys by goal.com. And immediately it states that Frank Lampard feels like Ruben's goal scoring ability has been missed in the team. Now Ruben's been out for 8 months, and the positive news is that he's now starting to train with the first team. So let's continue down and let's see what Lampard had to say. As we can see here, Lampard does state that, "I think you will miss Ruben, I don't care who you are. You'll miss his abilities, his natural physique, his ability to move the ball well and score the goals like he did last season. Now that has to be a big part of his game as well. Of course, we've missed a player of that level, and it is nice and put a smile on everyone's face on Friday because he is popular with his teammates too. A smile on everyone's face to see him back. It was the first day with us fully on Friday, and it was a light session, so that suited him. He has far away to go still, and I'm not pessimistic there. He just needs a full week of training with us first and a tough week. Then he will need some under 23 games, and again, I think the break comes at a nice time for him to work, and we'll gauge it on the other side of that break and see where he is. It might be too early for him to play this Friday against Leicester's under 23 team, but this week's training is the important thing because he hasn't had that at first team level. Then we will consider his game after that. So this is really positive news. As we can see, Lampard is in full praise of the player. Lampard understands what Ruben's going to bring to the team, especially in midfield. Now, you look at us, we missed that clinical ability, that excellence in the final third at times. Now, it's unfair to rely on that consistently from guys like Mason Mount and Hudson-Odoi, but with Ruben, and as we saw from him last season, I feel like he has those characteristics and he's ready to bring that to the team. Now, is Ruben someone that we need to fear? Is he injury prone? I'm not too sure, you guys. When it comes to his back, well, they were really circumstances in regards to his growth. Ruben's growth kind of accelerated and his body didn't really match up with that. So that's what really played a part in his back pain. But as he's getting older, as he's getting fitter, and as he's more in control of his body as well, that's not really becoming an issue. So when he sustained that injury in the preseason last year, it was very unfortunate, very frustrating, because this had nothing to do with his back and it was purely a freak injury. However, the player's going to be training very hard this week. He's not going to be playing for England as well. Hopefully he gets that fitness and form back, and hopefully, fingers crossed, you guys, let's hope and pray that we see Ruben playing some type of minutes at the end of February. I'm being ambitious, but with what Lampard's saying, I feel like maybe we should feel a bit more optimistic than usual. And you guys, on that point, we do end things with the final story for today, and that's in regards to the latest surrounding Pedro and his potential move to a Japanese team. Now, Vissel Kobe are the Japanese team that have been targeting Pedro. At this moment in time, they have many of his ex-Barca teammates and guys like Iniesta, David Villa, Sergi Samper, and even Thomas Vermaelen as well. So if Pedro was to sign for them, he's going to be going to a very familiar environment where he'll explore an amazing country in Japan. And you know what, if I'm Pedro, if I'm a player that's won literally every single thing you can imagine in football, well, imagine going to Japan to play your football. It's a league that plays very nice football. They like to keep the ball on the ground, tiki-taka, nice pieces of play. Players have great technique as well, so it doesn't surprise me why quite a few Spanish players have entertained the idea of going there. Now, Pedro also has interest from MLS teams, in particular from FC Miami, who happen to be owned by David Beckham. Now, they've held a lot of talks with the player, so they can try to persuade Pedro to sign for them so he can act as their designated player. If you're asking me, at this point in time, it's time for Pedro to move on now. Now, his game against Hull City was very poor, and I just couldn't help myself from not thinking that maybe he doesn't suit playing this high-intense football anymore. He's getting older, he's played at a very high level for a very long time now. Can he really motivate himself the same way? Is his body as fit and physical as it used to be before? I'm thinking of all these factors that could be affecting Pedro on his form, but if you're asking me, he's been a great servant for us. He's scored some unbelievable goals for us as well. But at this point in time, I just don't think he's as good as he used to be. And he's a player that's definitely on the decline. So, of course, good luck to Pedro. Let's see what happens. And boys, on that point, I'm going to wrap things up and keep things moving. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe. I'm EFC. This is Blue Line CV. See you guys in a bit.